All right, Sooner Nation. So let's talk a little bit of practice today and what's going on with Oklahoma this spring. And unfortunately, we're not going to put our foot out there starting with good news at this moment because if you guys have been on the social medias at this point, you guys have seen it. Giovanni Gibson has apparently suffered an injury. And although we don't know what the severity of this injury looks like right now, uh, listen, this is, if you're an Oklahoma fan, not what you wanted to see. Basically, exiting spring practice going into the summer, because if you guys remember last year, one of the biggest inhibitors to your season was the amount of injuries that you had at wide receiver, specifically losing your top 5 wide receivers, not even giving Jackson Arnold to have a chance of guys that had been within the program, knew the playbook, knew the routes, and instead had to throw the true freshmen that just simply weren't ready. Now, the good news is Oklahoma, they recruited well in the transfer portal. They recruited well on the recruiting trail. And some of these wide receivers are in their second year. So Oklahoma right now does still have weapons. And I believe even with a couple injuries, this room can still be better this year. And you would imagine Oklahoma is going to go into the transfer portal and find maybe one or two dudes that they can pull in on the team to just give them a little bit more depth, especially if Giovanni Gibson's injury is going to be long term. But that's what we're going to talk about today. So make sure you guys join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. If there is somebody in the transfer portal right now that you want to see Oklahoma go out there and get, put that name down in the comments below, and maybe we're going to talk about it. But we're going to start with kind of talking about the depth in this room, and then we're going to move on to the transfer portal. And I got some names for y'all if you guys haven't been paying attention. So make sure you guys tune in to the end of the video as well. But kind of looking at the depth of the room and looking at what Oklahoma has, and obviously I think there were some really big expectations for Giovanni Gibson, being a young guy, coming from Arkansas Pine Bluff, 70 receptions, 1,215 yards, 9 touchdowns. You heard throughout the spring that Giovanni Gibson was going to be our wide receiver number 1. Like, he was making strides. And so to hear that there's kind of a setback here for Giovanni Gibson and that he might be out long term, listen, that sucks. But I don't think it's the end of the world, because although you've got guys like Keontae Lewis who have been out with injury, they're expected to be back in the summer and the fall. And Keontae Lewis is a guy that had 49 receptions last year for 790 yards, 5 touchdowns, a 6'2 frame. He's a guy that can play. You have other guys on this team that can play. I was looking at some of the guys that were on the team last year. Deion Burks, I think, we all expect him to make an impact this year, although last year, he dealt with injuries. Isaiah Satanga is another guy throughout the spring practices that you've heard a ton about. Zion Kearney, a guy that we had last year. You saw him get some reps, but maybe didn't make the impact that you would have wanted him to make. He's going to be back this year, and he is going to be better. It's second year in the program, right? He's going to have put on more weight. He's going to have a little bit more time to be with Emmett Jones in the film room, learn what routes he needs to run. And I think you can say the same for Zion Ragens, or even Elijah Thomas, who, although he's a true freshman, you heard some buzz about him at the beginning of the spring practices. Elijah Thomas looks like that dude that you wanted on the recruiting trail. And then you got guys like Ivan Carrion in his second year, so Jacob Jordan. So if you're an Oklahoma fan, I don't think it's time to panic. I think you have some good options, but you definitely want to go out there and maybe get you another wide receiver that you can tell, hey, right now we have a need and you can play immediately here at the University of Oklahoma. And you want a guy that can maybe be your wide receiver 1 or your wide receiver 2. And hopefully Deion Burks and Satanga and Keontae Lewis live up to exactly what we thought they would be. Now, the question is, who could Oklahoma go out there and get currently right now that's in the portal? Because the portal cycle for the spring has not opened yet. Obviously, grad transfers can go ahead and enter. You're going to see guys make their announcements that they want to enter the portal, but technically the portal has not opened yet. So who could Oklahoma go after? I was browsing the 247 Sports recruiting or transfer portal recruiting page, and I saw one name that I haven't heard at all. Christian Fitzpatrick out at Marshall. He's 6'4", 217 pounds, out of Southfield, Michigan, 34 receptions, 576 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now, I get it. Some of these guys that you would say are going to be some of the bigger names in the portal, I think a lot of Oklahoma fans are going to step back and go, yeah, but is Oklahoma going to be able to win something like that? Because we haven't seen Oklahoma win a ton of high-profile recruitments, especially with the wide receivers. I mean, this offseason we lost, for example, Virgil to Texas Tech when we thought that one was in the bag for us. And so I understand the reservations there, but I do think Oklahoma is going to be able to make strides here and to be able to get the guys they want because they don't want a repeat of last year. And also, you're going to have Jim Nagy out there evaluating this talent. He's got lots of connections, and I don't think that's something that we've talked about enough. So Christian Fitzpatrick, 6'4", 217 pounds, transferring out of Marshall. I think that's the name you got to watch. Now, down in Jay's Discord the other day, we were talking about some of this, and somebody brought up the name Emmett Mosley, and he's a freshman transferring out of Stanford, 6'2", 190 pounds. I really like him. One, because he's young, so you can get multiple years out of him, hopefully in the transfer portal. Last year for Stanford as a freshman, had 48 receptions, 525 yards, and 6 total touchdowns. He also had 12 carries for 6 yards. So I think Emmett here provides a lot of versatility. He's got the frame and the size. He's young, so you can continue to develop him and potentially have him for a couple years, and you're not just paying for a one-year rental. So Emmett Mosley, I think, is definitely another option if you're the Oklahoma Sooners that you got to go out there and look at. Now, I was listening to the radio the other day because, I got to listen to the radio. If you guys, George Soya had a great idea the other day. If you guys Thunder fans, go listen to the Denver sports radio after Denver fired their head coach and GM. Absolute shambles. But, I got to listen to stuff while I'm working. And Parker Thune was talking about potential prospects that Oklahoma could go out there and get the portal as well. And he mentioned the name Trajan Bridges. And if you guys remember this whole saga, Trajan Bridges ended up getting dismissed from the program, and now he's back. And he's back in the portal after a great year at Central Arkansas. 53 receptions, 748 yards, 6 touchdowns, 6'1", 185 pounds. Yeah, I think he's got, another year of eligibility, maybe 2. I would really love Oklahoma to maybe give it. Parker talked about, hey, wouldn't it be cool to see Trajan Bridges get his redemption story at Oklahoma? Listen, if the kid's turned his life around and the staff wants to be able to take on, that responsibility and take on that risk, I'm 100% for it. I think Trajan Bridges is a phenomenal talent, and I think he's starting to live up to the hype that he had out of high school. And clearly you can see he's determined to get his career back on track. And if Oklahoma wanted to kind of circle back around there, I would be 100% for it. But y'all have to let me know down in the comments below. If you guys made it this far and you guys have not already, make sure you guys hit that like and you guys hit that subscribe button. Well, we'll see y'all next time.